show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's October 4th, 2021. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined as always by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And Matt, we let a couple days go by after the just disappointing night at Hard Rock Stadium on Thursday. So much focus obviously on the end with Andres Borregales missing the field goal at the end of the game. But you know what? That game wasn't lost on that kick. That game was lost beginning in the first quarter when Virginia came out with a good game plan and finished the quarter with a 151-10 edge in total yardage, had total control of the game, and Miami was just facing an uphill battle the entire way. And it puts the program in a tough spot. 2-3, losers of 5 straight games to Power 5 competition. And now you got a gauntlet waiting at North Carolina, a really good NC State team coming in here after that, and then a road game at Pittsburgh. And let's not overlook Georgia Tech either. I mean, they had a tough day the other day, but, they're a team that had been on the upswing and, certainly can't be overlooked. So, this season is going to be a battle the rest of the way. And, I don't know how it's going to end. So much conversation, Matt, about Manny Diaz and his future. Nobody seems to have a handle on what his contract situation is. There's been an $8 million buyout figure thrown around. I can't begin to imagine that's true, except today there's speculation that he might have possibly been given a 1-year extension after last season and, might have 3 years left on his contract as opposed to 2, which would mean the buyout would be higher. So nobody really knows. Blake James certainly isn't offering up the information. We're going to have to keep, prying and try to find out exactly what that buyout situation is, if this continues to be an issue going forward. But the bottom line is, if you're talking about buyouts, if you're wondering what it's going to cost to get rid of a coach, if you're talking about a program reeling that can't beat Power 5 competition, none of it is good on any level. Current season recruiting, Jaleel Skinner's announcing Friday. That one is probably gone. I mean, he's probably going to pick Alabama or, more than likely. And it's a shame because Miami was in a good place on that one a couple months back. And so the better recruits are going to be falling by the wayside. The atmosphere at the stadium is bad. The team's not winning. The 5 straight losses, Power 5. Manny's lost all support whatsoever. Blake James has no support, which is going to impact fundraising. Fans are talking about, not renewing tickets and things like that. It's just a really bad situation right now at every level for the U.
I think you summed it up. The only thing I'd add is, for fans, perception becomes reality, right? So, enough fans say Manny Diaz has to go, they assume he's going to go. And that's not necessarily true. I mean, every commitment I've talked to, and I've talked to almost all of them or corresponded with almost all of them since Thursday night, they're still committed. They still expect Manny Diaz and the coaching staff to be here next year. That's at direct odds with what Miami fans believe will happen. So, I mean, who's right? I don't know. But, would the perception be changed if that chip shot field goal was made? Would all of a sudden fans be like, oh, you know what? If we win the ACC and we win the ACC Coastal and, and hey, maybe they will play a good game against whoever the Atlantic champion is. It's certainly possible. Would that stem the tide of criticism, or have fans already had it to the point where we already know this isn't going to get fixed no matter what? It's still a mystery to me. Miami could still win, as crazy as it sounds, the Coastal. They're not a good team. I keep saying that over and over. They're not a good team. They're not a good team. They're not a good team. We've been saying it since fall practice, but people maybe are starting to believe it now a little bit more. But like I keep saying, it doesn't mean they can't win the Coastal. There's no good teams in the Coastal. So if Miami wins the Coastal and goes to the ACC title game, and maybe plays close, maybe even has a crazy upset, is that okay with fans, or do they still want Manny to go? I would love to know the answer to that question.
Well, I think North Carolina and Pitt are two teams that have a chance to be decent teams. And, Miami has to play both of them on the road. I would agree Virginia Tech's obviously very average. Virginia was very average. Duke is terrible. It's definitely not a juggernaut of a division. No doubt about it. But Miami's going to have a hard time winning next week at North Carolina, and it's going to have a hard time winning at Pittsburgh. And, only somehow miraculously coming out ahead in those two games because Miami is able in this bye week to elevate its level of play significantly will change the mood in the room. Finishing 6-6 or something along those lines in the middle of the pack in the Coastal and playing in a nondescript bowl game somewhere is not going to change the narrative in the room by any stretch. So, right now there's not a ton we could say. We don't see anything being imminent. I don't see Manny Diaz being fired anytime real soon. Don't see any appetite anywhere to fire Blake James over this. What I do see is a willingness to explore plans if a change becomes necessary. And that talk always shifts to money. And, we don't know what the buyouts would be. We don't know what it's going to add up to, whether it would cost $15 million to change coaches, $20 million to change coaches. You got to remember, you're buying out Manny. You're paying whatever you owe the assistant coaches. You're paying the buyout of whatever coach you hire. And then there's expenses that come with that too, in terms of what staff he's going to hire. Are there any buyouts involved there? Or, so this could get pretty pricey, and it might involve some creative financing, and things like that are at a higher business level maybe than Miami's used to considering and dealing with its football program. But here's what I will say. The University of Miami as an institution is in a good financial place right now. The hospital has been doing very, very well, making a lot of money. I know that the school itself, applications have been going very, very well the last few years. From what I understand, there's more students that are being accepted into the university choosing to attend the university than has been the norm. The sliding scale. The way colleges work is if they admit 10,000 kids, 5,000 actually end up enrolling or something like that. There's I don't know what the exact number is, but there is a typical number that's fairly predictable. Well, from what I understand, that number has been going up at Miami the last few years, which means that they have more students enrolled and paying tuition than they had budgeted for. And it's involved some overcrowding, I think, in a few classrooms and stuff, but it has also improved the general ledger of the university. So money is not as big an issue at Miami as it may have been years ago. Miami's not a poor school anymore. And the question is going to be, will they invest in the football program if it comes to that? I believe they will. I think there's a willingness to do so, especially the way things have been going here recently. But I don't see it being reckless. Like I think that whether it's Blake or David Epstein, the trustee that's in charge of athletics, I think they're going to have to come to the overall board with a solid game plan on how they're going to attack this, who they're going to go after, what it's going to cost, and then decisions are going to have to be made. So this is not going to be an easy process. This is not going to be, Miami loses to North Carolina and Manny's fired that night or something like that. I don't know that I see that happening. But, I think the results here in the next 3-4 weeks will shape, obviously, what happens moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Well, we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, that's all you can do.
Yeah. So I would tell everybody, obviously a lot of debate on the message boards and it's all crazy and fun or whatever, but I've suggested taking a deep breath and I think everybody should do that. a little bit. It's not a great situation. After the game the other night, I tried to show a little compassion to the kids. That was a tough experience going through all that and fighting back the way they did, and then having the kick obviously hit the upright and they end up losing the game. And that was not a time. I know everybody wants blood. That's not a time for those of us who cover the team, to be, shoveling dirt on the casket, so to speak. I mean, we don't need to draw blood. It's not necessary. Everybody knows the situation. So we'll see what happens here. Next game up, North Carolina, and then we'll pick it up from there and obviously discuss it more. All right, so onto the website this morning. Our focus this week is going to be big time on recruiting. We'll be bringing a lot of recruiting updates to you. We're trying to talk to a lot of the recruits, and certainly have a few of those stories on the website this morning. T-Rob, the guy whose name always comes up in recruiting, was in Jacksonville on Friday night, and he was visiting Jacksonville Riverside linebacker Devin Smith. And this is a kid that you might see things pick up with quite a bit here in the coming weeks and obviously a couple months. Right now he's considering Maryland and Missouri. Miami has a realistic chance of getting in pretty good graces with him. So T-Rob's on that case, and we'll continue to monitor what happens there. But you can catch up yourself on Jacksonville Riverside linebacker Devin Smith in the story that's on the website this morning. We have our weekly Tracking the Commits feature, where you can see how all the commits that are on the commit list right now, and none of them are showing signs of decommitting at the moment. They're all saying they continue to be committed. You can follow up and see what they've been doing in their high school seasons. That's always a good thing to check out on Monday morning. There's an offensive lineman, and we know the problems that Miami has on the offensive line, obviously, Matt. And they're having to expand the base at O-line recruiting. They're not in a good spot there right now. They don't have any great offensive line commitments. Doesn't look like any great offensive linemen are about to commit that we could see. So it looks to us like they're expanding the horizons, and that includes St. John's, Florida prospect Matt McCoy, who we provide an update on this morning. But Matt, talk a little bit in general. You get to speak to a lot of these kids, and talk a little bit in general of the mood amongst the recruits, and as you see it coming off the Virginia loss.
Yeah, I mean, when I've asked them about the team and what they've seen, their general response is they want to see the younger guys play. The freshmen is what they specifically say. So, they sort of are reflecting what the fans are saying there too. But
they want to know they're going to play if they come.
Well, they want to see the team do well. I mean, nobody wants to go to a team that's not doing well. I mean, the recruits that are in the class of 2023 are generally saying, they're going to withhold judgment until this season's over and then into next season, because obviously they have plenty of time. But the kids in the 2022 class this season is doing a lot of damage. I mean, the kids that are on the fence, the kids in the class, like we already said, are committed. They're still committed. But the kids that Miami's been trying to get, the Nigel Kellys, the Wesley Basaints, those guys, the Skinners, like Miami was high up for all those guys heading into the season. And, those guys that I just mentioned have all been to games this year, and they've seen fans boo, and they've seen the team not do well, and they've seen their position that they want to play not do well. In past years, you can sort of spin it off as, well, it's a chance for them to play early. This is a good thing in some respects. It sort of equates out the fact that they're losing games. Like, hey, you could be a difference maker, come in right away. You could play here in year one. You have to wait till year 3 or 4 in Alabama, something like that. But it's been so many years of poor results at Miami, and now when you have a coach on the hot seat, and that's the guy who's recruiting you, and his the position coach that's recruiting you could go with him. Like, kids are aware of that. They're not dumb, and it's gonna really be a major problem for the class of 2022, because, like you said, if they don't get rid of Manny Diaz until after the season, for instance, it's too late. December, the second, third week of December, everyone's signed by. And if they think that Manny might be gone after that, you're not going to get these top kids to come here. So, and even if they do, they might they just like what happened with Keyshawn Smith, right? He got out of his letter of intent. Like, you just don't know in that interim, for the kids enrolling early. And there's a lot of them. You fire many of these middle of December, late December, a lot of these kids might say, I'm going to my second choice now. So it's a tough situation for Miami. It's a tough situation for Manny Diaz if he does stay, because you've lost 4 or 5 difference makers in your program just because your team didn't do well this year. So there's a lot of problems he's facing. That would be my only argument for, if they're going to make a change, make it sooner rather than later. Get an interim head coach in there. People can reach out to these kids and say, here's what our plan is. Please stay with the program, blah, 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 like it's been done in the past, in February signing days. When you do it in December and January, now you just have to move that up. So really, we haven't been in a situation where everyone signs early and you're getting rid of a coach, because in the past, when they've gotten rid of coaches, it's been a February signing day, and you bring a new coach in after the season, and he has a chance a month and a half to recruit, which is plenty of time. That's not the case in today's modern football, and there is a benefit, if you're going to get rid of a coach, to getting rid of him early, because then you have that month and a half where you can at least get in touch with these commits, like, hey, we did make a coaching change. Here's the plan. We don't want you going anywhere, whatever the case may be. So it's going to be really interesting to see how Miami deals with this.
All right, so Matt McCoy from St. John's, Florida, is the offensive lineman that's now on Miami's radar, and we give you the update on him and how his recruitment is going. And then we also have an update with 2023 Miami Central defensive end Ruben Bain as well. So, like I said, a lot of focus on recruiting this week. With the open week, you'll be seeing a lot of recruiting updates. We'll be talking about a lot of the kids. We're also expecting to have some basketball news this week, and a couple other things, and features and analyst pieces and stuff. So we'll have plenty to keep you guys occupied here in the open week, and of course, we'll continue to monitor all the conversation regarding the future of the coaching situation. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. We thank you very much for joining us on Good Morning CaneSport today. Everybody have a great day, and we'll see you next time, everybody.